Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, everybody. Today I'll be ranking the top 30 strongest living characters in One Piece as of chapter 1170. First things first is that Big Mom and Kaido, or characters just like them who we don't know fully if they're alive or dead, are excluded from this list. Most of the Holy Knights will also be excluded since their scaling isn't concrete as of yet, so no Gunko, Summers, or Killingham, so consider them honorable mentions. Same thing applies to the red-haired pirates and the revolutionaries, and most other groups that don't have solid scaling. But I would also like to mention Domi Reversi, Dory, and Bragi, who I believe will be very strong, but haven't done anything yet, especially since I believe they're going to be future Sanji and Zoro opponents. By the way, this is my sanitized version of the list. I actually have some pretty unpopular opinions on the scaling for a lot of these characters, so if you guys are ever interested, I'll make a sequel video explaining them. The scaling in this video will be based on feats, statements, and, the most important of all, speculation, since most characters in One Piece don't actually have that many feats. So characters like Mihawk will mostly be scaled off his statements as the world's strongest swordsman and his speculation of the future Zoro opponent. We start out the list at number 30 with the chef of the Straw Hat Pirates, Blackleg Sanji. Sanji as of now is quite possibly the fastest non-top tier character in the verse, while also having really solid AP. After Sanji, I have Shiryu of the Rain, who is mostly placed here for narrative purposes since I believe he will be a future Zoro opponent. But he does have some pretty good AP feats, being able to actually damage Old Garp, while also not really showing that many good durability feats since he was easily put down by Old Garp, though he was still alive and fine enough afterwards. After Shiryu, we have Kid and Law. These two have been portrayed by the story to be pretty close in terms of strength. They both have pretty impressive feats on Big Mom, being able to tank and endure most of her attacks, while also showing relativity and or outright superiority to her in speed. These feats should at least put them above current Sanji. Also, the reason for having Law over Kid by such a small margin is because of his hacks abilities and his performance against Blackbeard. The next person on the list is Sabo. Now I know, Sabo doesn't actually have any good feats, but I believe based purely on speculation that he is on this spot. And that's pretty much it. Though he does have some pretty interesting feats, mainly him escaping that throne room, though you could just chalk that up to just narratively he had to escape that throne room. After Sabo, we have Yamato. Yamato has a mythical Zoan Devil Fruit, while also having access to ACOG. These traits allowed Yamato to stall a holding back Kaido. I believe that the way in which Yamato held back Kaido was impressive enough to put them above everybody that has appeared up until now. Because I personally scale that version of Kaido above the version of Big Mom that we saw on the rooftop. Mainly because Big Mom doesn't really have that many good feats, nor does she actually have any good statements about being that high at the top tier pool. If y'all ever want to hear my opinions on Big Mom, I'm gonna make a whole video about it maybe in the future. Mainly, I don't believe she's as strong as people believe she is. I have her pretty much as the weakest top tier, but that's neither here nor there. That's just for another day. She's not on this list anyway. After Yamato, we have the character closest to being a top tier without actually being a top tier, Pirate Hunter's Roronoa Zoro, who while on the rooftop was able to show relativity and or faster reaction speeds to that of Big Mom. During that performance, he was able to also damage Kaido multiple times, and after his performance against Kaido, he got a buff while fighting King, now with his whole King of Hell stuff. With our next few characters, we are entering that top tier range of power. The first three I'll talk about are Jupiter, the warm guy, and he has some pretty good AP feats. He actually, I think that he probably has the best AP feat out of the 5 elders with his whole Emmett feat. Him damaging Emmett to the way and the extent that he did is such an impressive feat. But also he hasn't shown any good durability or endurance feats. Well, endurance, obviously he has some of the best endurance in the verse. After all, I feel like every single character with immortality has really good endurance, but his durability has been shown to be pretty lacking since Dory and Bragi were able to hurt him, and Luffy was able to pretty easily get him out of being a threat by just throwing a building at him. So that's why I have Jupiter at the bottom of this tier. After Jupiter, we have Mars. Mars was portrayed, at least how I believe he was portrayed to be the third strongest Gorosei at Egghead. The way he was treated, the way his transformation is based, and just how he just was. This is purely aura scaling basically. I'm also speculating him to be a future Sanji opponent or a future Sabo opponent. I don't know who he's gonna fight in the future, but I believe it will be a strong character, and I believe Jupiter just isn't gonna be as important or as strong as Mars. After Mars, I have Nazjuro. Now, I know a lot of people have Nazjuro way higher than this, but Nazjuro has some pretty weird anti-feats that it's just like, it's like being kicked by Sanji was not it. And also, the whole clash with Zoro just showed that they probably had relative enough like AP, which isn't really like that bad of a feat, but Zoro shouldn't be like as like impressive as some of the people that I have above him. So I have Nazjuro here, and you might be like, oh, where do you have everybody else that's above Nazjuro? Well, after Nazjuro, I have the old man trio of Gaban, Rayleigh, and Sengoku. You might be like, why do you have Gaban, Rayleigh, and Sengoku above the Gorosei? Well, mainly because they've explained recently it was explained how to be able to counteract immortality, and we also have feats from Gaban and feats from Rayleigh that actually exceed the feats that were shown by Nazjuro and all the other characters that are below him. Specifically, Rayleigh being able to stall Kizaru was an incredible feat, and that I believe puts him above Gear 4 Luffy, and it's just so good and such a much better feat than whatever Nazjuro did, which again you might be like, oh, Nazjuro split the island in half, but that's just a DC feat. That's not really like something that matters that much. I feel like a lot of characters could split islands in half in One Piece. What I'm trying to say is that I, for now, have Gaban and Rayleigh above them. And you might be like, why is Sengoku also here? Sengoku, I believe, his prime self was above Gaban and Rayleigh. In their primes, I believe Sengoku probably still comparable to at least some extent and above them right now. After them, I have who I believe to be the strongest Gorosei, aka Top Man and Figureland Garling. While I know a lot of people hate Garling and a lot of people just don't like him, I do still believe he has a lot of narrative importance and that he will be a very important character coming to the future parts of the story. And mainly also, I will talk about a little bit about Top Man. Top Man has the best feats out of the Gorosei. He was able to hurt Gear 5 Luffy. He was able to tank everything Gear 5 Luffy threw at him. No matter what it was, he was able to tank that. And he is just incredibly strong. If you want, I'm fine enough with putting him above Luffy if you believe that. I just don't have him above Luffy because, you know, he was able to be stalled and actually moved, and like there was multiple things Dorian Broggie were able to do to counteract Top Man, and I don't believe anyone that's above Top Man and above Garling would actually get all that stalled by Dorian Broggie. Plus, I still believe that the Admirals are above the Gorosei, mainly because of the statements of the Admirals being the strongest military might in the world government, though I do still have some specific things, but that's for later in the video. So I have these two as the two strongest Gorosei, and after those two, we get Shank's right hand man, Benny Beckman. He has some statements that put him as one of the strongest characters currently living, but he hasn't really done that much, though I do believe he will be a future Zoro opponent, so I'll have him pretty high, and that's pretty much why I have him this high. Though I do believe he's very strong, that's for sure. After Benny, we have our last old man, Garp. What can I say about Garp? Garp is just incredible. He had some really good feats during the Hachinosu invasion. He was showed relativity to a holding back Kuzan, and yeah, holding back. A lot of people talk about how he's above Kuzan. I don't believe he's above Kuzan, mainly because obviously it's like Garp himself says it, that Kuzan was hesitating during the entire fight, and there's multiple statements in the story that just show us that hesitation just causes you to be at your weakest, which means he was fighting against a holding back Kuzan and was showing relativity to them, and or if you want to say outright outperformed the holding back Kuzan. But I still believe Kuzan's above him. After him, I have the three. Now that we're past those smelly old men, right? We're going to our last three characters before we get to our top 10. At 13, I have Green Bull. At 12, I have Fujitora. And at 11, I have Shamrock. Now, I know what I said about the whole, I believe the Admirals to be the strongest in the world government. I still believe that, but I believe that Shamrock is probably going to be an exception, mainly because I believe he's going to be incredibly important for the end part of the story. So I have Shamrock at 11, I have Green Bull at 13, and I have Fujitora at 12. Though I do still believe all three of these characters are going to show out, and they might go up or they might go down. Now we enter into our top 10 with the main protagonist of the story, Monkey D. Luffy. I know a lot of people have Luffy way higher, but I don't believe he's at that level just yet. His fights against Kaido and Kizaru showed that he could punch at their level, but that he didn't have the juice to properly rival them. After Luffy, we have Borsalino Kizaru, A lot of people misread the Kizaru vs Luffy fight. All of the subtext of the fight shows that while Luffy was trying his hardest to protect Vegapunk and everyone else on Egghead Island, Kizaru, on the other hand, really wanted not to succeed at the mission. He purposely stayed down multiple times when he could still fight. He also was the one to feed Luffy. Another thing to add is that it is incredibly consistent that in One Piece, when a character can't act without feeling guilt, they're at their weakest. Basically, a mentally nerfed Kizaru showed high-end relativity to Luffy, so a non-mentally nerfed Kizaru should at least be slightly above him. Now that we are past those two, let's get to our number 8. Marshall D. Teach, aka Blackbeard. The reason for why I speculate him to be this high is because of his devil fruits and how much of a threat he is being portrayed to be at the moment, with no one in the verse taking him lightly as an opponent. After Blackbeard, we have the accursed prince of Elbaf, Loki. Recently, he has shown some incredible feats in the newest chapter by defeating Holy Knight Herald. While I don't believe he fully scales above this version of Herald, since he himself allowed Loki to kill him, still, this feat in itself is, in my opinion, better than anything showed by a character below him. After all, he outperformed both Gabon and Young Shanks at the same time, while also showing some relativity to Herald during their small clash. After Blackbeard and Loki, at number 6, we have Teach's crewmate, Kuzan. I know a lot of you will be in disagreement with me about this placement, but Kuzan has been shown to be one of the most important characters for the end of the story. I also believe he is probably going to be one of Kobe's final fights. His 10-day fight with Akainu shows how close they are in terms of power, and since Akainu has some of the best portrayal in the series, Kuzan should scale to it to some extent. At number 5, we have red-haired Shanks. I know, a lot of people will probably have problems with having the supposed hockey man of the verse this low, but I believe that everyone above him has better reasons for being stronger than him. Like for example, our number 4, the world's strongest swordsman, Mihawk. The Hawk has to narratively be above every other living swordsman in the world, or else Zoro's dream will be worthless. That is the reason for him to be above Shanks, who is a swordsman. Moving on from the most annoying debate in One Piece, we are now entering the top 3, with our first character up, Akainu, the Red Dog, who has some of the best portrayal in the verse, with him probably being the last opponent Luffy will face before Imu and EOS Blackbeard. He also has the highest confirmed active bounty in the series with a 5 billion berry bounty. Oda himself has said that he wishes to cherish Akainu, and I believe Oda. At number 2, we have the protagonist's father and the leader of the revolutionary army, Monkey D. Dragon. He has been hyped up since chapter 100 of the story for a reason. So for now, I speculate him to be the second strongest in the verse. He could go down, but he can definitely not go up. Because now to end the list with what we all knew was going to be our number 1, we have Narona Imu, who I don't really have to explain. After all, he just has the best feats, statements, and narrative in the whole verse. Thanks for watching the video. If you're wondering what happened with the DCU video, I have decided to put that one on the back burner as I have done some changes to the entire slate of newbies and shows. If you liked the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing.